So you made it. After 10 chapters, you have built an absolutely powerful methodology for dealing with one of the biggest challenges in business today. Now we're going to put all those pieces together and just take a look back at the complete practical toolkit you've just mastered. And in this review, we're not just going to list off topics. No, we are connecting the dots. By the end of this, you're going to see this crystal clear picture of how all these frameworks snap together, proving just how ready you are to lead AI security in your own organization. Okay, so let's start right back at the beginning. We're going to revisit that complex, kind of messy landscape that made this whole journey so necessary in the first place. Because understanding the why behind it all, well, that's the rock-solid foundation for everything else you've learned. Remember this. This is where you began, by confronting this reality head-on. A staggering 61% of employees are using unauthorized AI. On top of that, 73% of organizations don't have any formal policies for it, and yet 82% plan to pour even more money into AI. You saw how this creates, well, a perfect storm for risk. And that's the very problem you now know how to solve. Faced with that huge challenge, you learned something absolutely critical. A systematic needs assessment isn't just some box you have to check. It is the smartest strategic move you can make. You saw how it stops you from wasting money. It focuses you on the real risks, gets everybody on the same page, and this is huge. It ensures you can actually prove that your training worked. And that led you to the crucial first step of any assessment, mapping out the entire AI landscape. You now have a solid method for doing an organizational scan to find not just the official sanctioned systems, but also all that hidden, unauthorized shadow AI, which, let's be honest, is often where the biggest threats are hiding. Okay, so let's shift gears and get to the core of your journey. Let's look at how all this builds into that powerful, structured framework for analysis you learned. This is really the engine room of the whole process. You completely mastered this 5-phase framework. This right here is the central pillar of the entire methodology. It gives you a repeatable, logical process you can use for any assessment, starting with that big picture organizational analysis and taking you all the way to a very clearly defined scope. Now, the very first tool you added to your kit was the job task analysis. This is where you learn to look past generic job titles and instead systematically document how, where, and why different roles are actually interacting with AI, which lets you pinpoint vulnerabilities right down at the task level. Next up, you learned how to conduct a proper risk assessment. This is where you mastered that vital skill of translating technical findings into real business impact. Connecting a specific task to a real-world consequence, like a data breach, a compliance fine, or even a major financial loss. You also learned how to really zero in on what people need by splitting it into 2 buckets: knowledge, what people need to know, like the company's security policies, and skills, what they need to be able to actually do, like validate an AI's output. This is what ensures your training builds real, demonstrable competence, not just some theoretical understanding. Okay, so what's really cool is how you learn to apply these powerful frameworks to the unique needs and pressures of different departments. This is where you really took everything from theory and put it into real-world practice. So for a department like Human Resources, you saw that the focus has to be razor sharp. You learned how to assess the critical risks around protecting super-sensitive employee data and making sure that any AI they're using is in strict compliance with employment law. Then, when you shifted over to finance, you saw how the emphasis changes completely. For them, you learned to analyze the need for rigorous validation of AI outputs, questioning the reliability of financial forecasts, and making sure every single AI-generated report meets incredibly strict accuracy and regulatory standards. And with the legal department, well, you navigated a totally different minefield of challenges. You learned to consider the really profound implications AI has on things like attorney-client privilege, professional ethics, and the absolute necessity of having human lawyers supervising AI tools. So here's the crucial point. All of this deep analysis, it's only valuable if you can turn it into a concrete, actionable plan. So let's quickly review how you learned to transform your insights into real, measurable impact. To do that, you learn to use a prioritization framework, just like this one. This is your data-driven tool for making those tough but essential decisions about what to tackle first when your resources are limited. It helps you focus on what truly matters most, like, for instance, the severity of the risk. But you didn't just stop at the analysis, did you? Nope. You learned how to translate all those findings into a persuasive business case. And that is the key to getting stakeholder buy-in and securing the resources you need to actually make your training plan a reality. And it all comes together in this final roadmap. This clear 10-step path is exactly what you've been working towards. It takes you right from the very first step of just assembling your team, all the way through systematic execution, deployment, and finally to that continuous cycle of evaluation and refinement. And I want you to always remember this crucial insight. The assessment is not the end of a project. It's really the beginning of a continuous cycle of improvement, where what you learn from evaluation feeds directly back into the next phase of assessment. So, there you have it. The assessment process is complete. You have the full toolkit, you have the frameworks, and you have the roadmap. You now have everything you need to build a more secure, AI-powered future for your organization. So the only question left is, are you ready to lead the way?